Hi, I'm Michael Murphy. I was the floor manager on 7 series of the Great Egg Race with the great Heinz Wolff, and we had a great rapport. In fact, he had a great sense of humour, I remember. I dressed up as him one day just before the show started to go and warm up the audience. And I was going to do an impression of him, complete with bald wig, hair, glasses. And as I entered the studio, I saw a strange woman sitting in the audience seating. And as I got closer, trying to find out who this was, it was Heinz in full drag, full blonde wig, silk blouse, tights. I'm not sure whether he had lines down the back of the tights, jewellery, the lot. He completely turned the tables on me. What a wonderful man. It was a privilege, pleasure to work with him.
Hello, I'm Carola König, and as you can guess by my surname, I'm German. And Heinz always loved talking in German to me, just about anything, and very much loved philosophizing. Anytime my children would visit, he would make a point speaking in German to them as well, though I guess their German was even poorer than his.
Hi, my name is Alex. I've known Professor Weizmann for many years while I was at Brunel University. He's inspired many people, and especially on the day that I was having my graduation, we met him, me and my daughter and my wife, and he said this was a new scientist, and that was really inspiring for us. And I'm sure my daughter now wants to be a scientist as well. So I'm really proud of Professor and proud of Brunel University, and the legacy continues.
Hi, my name is João, and I'm a PhD candidate here at Brunel University, based at Heinz Wolff building. I would like to thank Professor Heinz Wolff for being such an inspiration for us and being such a charismatic person.
Hello, my name's Charles Huff, and I was the producer of most of the editions of the Great Egg Race. I think one thing that has not been said enough about Heinz is that he is possibly the most unself-conscious person I've ever come across. Anything I'd ask him to do, he'd happily do. He did, however, have one bit of self-consciousness, or someone who stood in as his self-conscious, which is his wife, Joan. And I do recall getting in terrible trouble with her once when he appeared on the Terry Wogan show. She actually banned him because she said it was a terrible show, and I managed to persuade her that it'd be great publicity and he should appear. And I was horribly wrong. And did I get into trouble from her when I got home after the show. But Heinz was great, lovely to work with, and what you saw is what you got. He was exactly like you saw on the television, was how he was.
I blame Heinz for me being here today. He took me on to work as a temporary job for a year back in 1996 when I left Brunel as a student, and I'm still working here now. Heinz was fun to work for. We didn't always get on, but he always had good ideas, and yeah, he was lovely. He came to my wedding, and he was always had a good word to say.
Hi, my name is John Kirkland. I was head of the Research Services Office from 1988 to 1994, about the time when Heinz was developing the first Woman into Space project. And what I remember about Heinz is he was so enthusiastic, so honest, so sincere. Nothing was a problem for Heinz. Getting the equipment built, getting the finance, none of it was a problem. It sometimes was for me, it sometimes was for the university, but Heinz always had the confidence that things would turn out okay, and by and large, they always did.
I'm Justin Halls, and I worked with Heinz for about 38 years, first at the CRC, and then I joined him at BIB a couple of years after it had started. And I remember him most for a lot of the quirky projects and lateral thinking. I built the Lego organ with him, which was an amusing and instructive project. And also we would have long discussions about things like the calibrated cricket company and how you could measure the half-life of holy water. He was a great guy and a great friend and a great boss.
Okay, my name is Val Ross. I first got to know Heinz when I was running Hillingdon Partnership Trust. That was a charity that got money and services from businesses in the local community to put back into community organisations. He was the president of this and introduced me to a lot of people through that. I then went to work for Hasbro, where I set up employee volunteering. That's a major toy manufacturer. And then I came to work at Brunel and I ran student volunteering. So we had many, many conversations about volunteering. And I was involved at one point with Give and Take Care. He also taught my children chemistry for A-level. Not totally successfully as far as they were concerned, but he made it very interesting. So there have been several ways in which I've known and loved Heinz, and I miss him terribly.
It's my privilege to work with Heinz when I was working at university, and one of the big projects we did was the Give and Take Care together, and I was worked with Gabriella and Heinz to get the Innovate UK funding. Heinz was 87 at the time when we got that funding, and Innovate UK said, "You're the oldest person we've ever given the money to."
I'm the Reverend Sally Hitchner. I'm the coordinating chaplain and faith advisor here at Brunel University. My memories of Heinz are as somebody who has so much of joie de vivre, someone who is the most generous person perhaps I've ever met, and someone who always had something interesting to ask and something interesting to say. I worked with Heinz quite closely on some of the Holocaust memorial events that we ran, and even when he was getting a little bit older and it was harder for him to get out and about, he was so generous in coming to tell his story and help inspire other people to care about the lives of refugees and all of those in need around the world. I felt like when I was talking to him, I was talking to a friend, and I think that was the case for everyone who knew him. And it was a great gift to humanity that he did, not just his work as a scientist, which was immense, but his gift to humanity as a human being.
Hello, my name is Ashraf Kher, and I am the theme leader of biomedical engineering at Brunel University, and I'm really both honored and privileged to sit on the same seat that Heinz Wolff once sat on, and to lead the biomedical engineering research at Brunel. For me, one of the most important and inspiring traits of Heinz was his work ethics. Heinz was working until the very end, and he was in the university almost every day, full day, with full force.
When Heinz Wolff moved into what is now the Heinz Wolff building, he moved his equipment into the next office to mine. He put a big magnet on the floor of the office behind the wall of my office. It destroyed temporarily my screen on my computer. Yet when I went to see him about something else, I saw the magnet, I moved it, but he threatened to put it back if I didn't do as I was told.
I'm Caroline van den Broel, and I worked on the Great Egg Race in the first year after they finished with the eggs. He had this Mini, and it was an automatic, and he used to use both feet to drive it. And I used to say, isn't it rather dangerous using your foot on the brake and at the same time having your other foot on the accelerator? He said, no, I've done it all the time, that's how I drive. And I just thought that was quite funny, really.
I got to know Heinz through science festival activities, both in Orkney and in Edinburgh. I was able to assist him in some of his lectures. This was great fun. I learned an awful lot from him, particularly how to run a spontaneous lecture without any notes whatsoever, and it all went swimmingly well. He used to say that if it goes wrong, it's even more fun to explain why it's gone wrong. An inspiration, he made science fun, a brilliant man altogether.
Hello, I'm Jerry Musgrave, a professorial colleague of Heinz for many years, although I knew him at the hospital as well. But I want to recall one little story. One summer I brought my daughter, who's now 46, she was about 6 at the time, into the senior common room, and we had lunch with Heinz. Immediately afterwards, she said, "Dad, he's just as he is on the telly. He didn't have any makeup or anything. And when you become a professor proper, will you look like him?" I think that's his humour.
I met Heinz when I was 8 years of age because my father, Larry Ryan, worked with Heinz Wolff in the original CRC, which was on Holly Hill, which then moved to Northwick Park and then to Brunel. Well, I have very fond memories of Heinz, and when I was about 9 years of age, my father came home from work, we had dinner, and he got me making these special pills that were for radioactivity. They weren't radioactive, but I was making the pills after dinner. I also had the pleasure of caring for him when he was a patient at Charing Cross Hospital. I was then a nurse specialist in pain management, and I couldn't believe it. I went to the intensive care to see him after having his surgery, and there was Heinz sitting on a bed reading someone's PhD paper